What is up, guys? Media Master Menard here today, and obviously this is a lot different of a video than I've ever made on my channel before, and it's going to be a lot more personal. And as you can tell by the title of the video, I actually met the President of the United States. Yes, it is true. And like I said, it's a more personal story, so I brought out the webcam. It's the first time I've ever done it. I apologize if the quality is a little bit low, but it will have to do for now. And I'm really excited to tell you guys this story, so let's get right into it because there's a lot to talk about. And I've alluded to many times before on this channel that I played football for the North Dakota State University Bison. It's been a pleasurable experience. Everything has been positive in the end. And we went out on top this last season. Us seniors got to go out with another national championship. And there's nothing really better than ending out on top of the world, or that's what we thought at least, until rumors started circulating that we had been invited to the White House by President Trump. And at first all of us players were texting each other, and it just seemed like maybe it was too good to be true, that it couldn't have been real, that's really impossible, we thought. But as the rumors started to become more and more confirmed, we all got more and more excited and started looking forward to the day. And so let's just go through that day right now, because it is an extremely long day and there was a lot of stuff that we went through, so I want to tell you guys about that, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So this long day started at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. We had to meet up as a team to get ready to go on our flight. Our flight left around 4:30, and it was approximately a two and a quarter hour flight. Wasn't too bad actually. And once we arrived at DC, we arrived at the Dulles Airport. We then drove into the main DC area, and we arrived quite a bit earlier than we intended to, so we got to go around and do a little bit of sightseeing. The only problem was we were there so early in the morning that most of the museums and all of that cool stuff were closed. The only one that was open was the Smithsonian American History Museum, and once we went in there, me and one of my teammates, the front desk lady told us that there was an event going on, and we asked what event was going on, and she said she wasn't at the liberty to tell us what the event was because we didn't know what the event was. And so that really didn't make much sense to us at all, and it seemed like there was some Illuminati Freemason stuff going on, but we're not going to talk about that anymore. I don't want to get in trouble with the wrong people. And so then we went on, and I got to get a couple pictures near the Washington Monument, but that was about it for the morning. So then we went back to the buses and we got ready to go into the White House, and that's kind of where the next part of this story continues. So there is quite a bit of security when you go into the White House. Obviously, there's a lot of security checkpoints and a lot of different things you have to go through. I'm not going to go through the specifics. Once again, I don't want to get in trouble with people in high places. That's not the intent of this video. I just want to share my experience with you guys because I do think you guys will find it quite interesting. And so after we went through the security, we were escorted to the East Room. We were able to socialize and just kind of hang out. We were able to talk to the senators that were hosting us there, that being Senator Hoeven and Senator Kramer of North Dakota, and they were very hospitable. And so after that, we kind of were posing for pictures. There were a lot of cool photo opportunities in this room, as there's a lot of history there. A lot of the paintings were just super cool, and you can just feel history oozing out of them. And for a history buff like myself, that was just really cool. And I'm showing you some of the photos on screen right now of the pictures we got there, and they're really cool. And so they set us up for a picture with President Trump, and he actually didn't come in there because we kind of scrapped the agenda and changed everything around. You see, we were actually supposed to meet in the Rose Garden, so that was the first thing that got scrapped. Then that picture with President Trump got scratched, and he invited us into a room where we saw a bunch of fast food laid out and assorted kind of neatly. It was kind of cool how all the boxes were stacked and whatnot. And so we all had seen the Clemson news and what had happened to them, and that they had gone there and gotten fast food. And then when we got in there and saw the fast food for us as well, it was kind of surreal. It was kind of this moment like, man, we are really in the White House right now. I mean, what we saw on TV, now we're living that right now. And it's just crazy when you get a out of body experience like that, kind of, and you kind of think like, whoa, what is going on? We are doing something not many people get the opportunity to do. And so just as we were looking around at the different assortments of Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Domino's, and fries, and all that other good stuff, we looked over, and the president and vice president entered the room and it got completely silent. I mean, the only thing you could hear was the flashing of a bunch of cameras, and you could see a bunch of flashing lights gloss over the faces of both of them. And they came in and they talked to our team, and they also invited a couple of our players up, that being Easton, our quarterback, and Darius, one of our receivers, to come talk, as well as they added a couple of members of our administration to come talk, and that was really nice, and both sides were very cordial and polite, and it was really nice to be honored by such a high-standing man in America. And it's crazy just being in the same room as somebody that powerful in the landscape of the world, and you do get a little starstruck. I think almost everybody on our team is kind of like, wow, we are in the same room as the president right now, and it is something a little bit different that you don't normally experience every day. I mean, it was just really cool in general to represent North Dakota State University and honor the state of North Dakota the way they did that day, so I really did appreciate that. And after that, Mr. President encouraged us to go eat the food on the table, and since most of us hadn't eaten all day, a lot of people just went straight in and started pigging out and eating a bunch. But me, on the other hand, I was trying to get a picture with the president, and so I went over to the president, and he was busy talking to other people, taking pictures with other people, and so I tried to get a selfie with him, and that's kind of the infamous selfie that went viral on Reddit. It actually got me on the front page of Reddit. I never expected it was going to blow up like that, but it did, and I thought that was kind of neat, so that's something that going to the White House got me. But also after that, I was able to just turn around and I saw the Vice President, Mike Pence, there, and so I got a picture with him and shook his hand, and that was great, and here that is right here on the screen right now. But even after that, I turned around and waited in line and got my turn to get a picture with President Trump, and it was a much more formal picture this time, so I think this one looks a lot better and is a lot more professional looking, and that one, I like this picture a lot. That's just something I'll be able to show my children or grandchildren someday and be able to say, hey, I got a picture with the acting president of the United States. I mean, not many people can say that. And after I got that, my mission was complete, so to speak, and so I got to go chow down. I really went for the pizza and the fries and Chick-fil-A a lot. I liked those a lot, and I mean, everybody was hungry, and so even if the food was a little warm from just sitting there for about 15 minutes, it still was really good, and I enjoyed it. But one of my favorite moments, I guess, from the whole trip kind of was everyone was just socializing and eating their food, and President Trump just kind of said, hey, who wants to see the Oval Office? I mean, he threw his hands up in the air, and kind of everyone was kind of like, hey, we want to go in there. And so he got us into the Oval Office, and it was much to the dismay of the Secret Service, because when he first said that, it was kind of like, hey, wait, we can't do that. But I mean, he is the president, so kind of what he says goes. So they kind of scrambled around to get the Oval Office ready for us to see, and so we got to go down into the West Wing, and that's kind of where phones were really restricted and off limits. You weren't able to bring your phone down there, so I didn't get any cool pictures from in there, but we did get a professional photo taking with the president in the Oval Office, which not many people can say they've even been to the West Wing. I mean, it is pretty off limits. So I think that was just the coolest part of this trip in general. So after we got that picture, I got to shake Trump's hand again, and we got to talk a little bit, and he asked me, what position do you play? And I said, defensive end. And he looked around at my teammates and kind of jokingly said, hey, is this guy any good? And we all kind of laughed, and it was just good. And then, yeah, it was really cool kind of just to have a normal interaction with the President of the United States. So that's something that's kind of interesting. And one thing I kind of noticed throughout the trip is how good politicians are at just speaking. I know Trump isn't a normal politician, but still, this guy is a seasoned businessman. So all these guys here, really, guys and girls, I should say, are really good at speaking and presenting themselves in a really high manner. And I really can't emphasize how cool going to the West Wing was. We got to see cool photo spots like where Obama had the iconic picture of him holding the rainbow flag after gay marriage passed, and we got to see other cool things like Teddy Roosevelt's Medal of Honor. I mean, you don't get to see stuff like that every day, and I just want to reiterate how cool that was and how much that added to the experience of being in Washington, D.C. And so after we kind of got our pictures in the Oval Office and whatnot, we left. And I mean, after we left, I think we all just kind of had this moment of awe and surrealness where we were just like, whoa, I cannot believe that just happened. And especially for us seniors, we kind of just talked amongst ourselves saying, man, this is kind of just the perfect cherry on top to our careers at NDSU as Bison. And I wouldn't want to go out any other way. And a lot of us were also very happy because it was one last day with the guys. I mean, that's something that you don't really realize you're going to miss until it's gone. So then we actually headed over to the Senate building, and we had another lunch there with the senators, and they said some words honoring us, and some of our administration thanked them for such a wonderful opportunity to come to Washington, D.C., which is really something incredible for a program of our size. And then we took a tour of the Capitol building, and this was something that was kind of rushed because we were way behind schedule from the events at the White House, which wasn't a bad thing at all because we really loved what happened at the White House, don't get me wrong. But so we had to rush a little bit through the Capitol building tour, but something that stood out for me were we got to go see some really cool courtrooms that were in service during the 1800s, the Supreme Court rooms, and there was decisions there like the Dred Scott decision that were uber important for the history of America and had huge ramifications on the whole country. And then we also got to see obviously like the dome architecture of the building, which as a civil engineer I really thought was cool and kind of mesmerizing. I mean, when you're in the inside looking up at that dome, it is just something else. I mean, it really is beautiful and just super well designed. After that, we ended up leaving and going on the buses again, and this time we headed over to the Lincoln Memorial. And we actually at first thought there really wasn't that much going on in the area, and a lot of us were starting to kind of run out of juice because we had been up for so long and it had been such a long day. But it was about sunset time, so I was able to get a lot of cool pictures of like the Washington Monument with the lake in the background, and then I got to get some really cool pictures of the Lincoln Memorial. I have to say the Lincoln Memorial was really cool in person, and it looks a lot better than it does in pictures, and I think it's because it's just so like majestic and big that it can't be kind of communicated through a picture. And I really thought the Gettysburg Address that was etched into the wall was something else. I really liked that speech. I think it's really, really cool. And then on top of that, I was able to see the Korean, the Vietnam, and the World War II memorials. I have to say that I think the Vietnam memorial is a little bit overrated from what I was expecting. I guess maybe underwhelming is a better way to put it, because I was kind of expecting that to be the best one, but I thought it was kind of the least best one in my opinion. I know that's not proper grammar. Get off my back, guys. I understand. But yeah. I thought the Korean War Memorial kind of blew my expectations out of the water, though, because everywhere you go on that perimeter of that exhibit, one soldier at least is looking at you. And even when you think you find a spot like, hey, a soldier isn't looking at me, then you look around and bam, there's a statue looking right at you. And it's kind of eerie and macabre. So I really liked that. And the World War II Memorial, I thought it was really cool, and you get some really good views of the Washington Monument when you are right next to it. And I think I'm going to put on screen right now the Minnesota wreath at the World War II Memorial, because that's where I'm from, and I thought that was kind of neat. But after that, we headed back to the buses, and our day was kind of over, and we headed back to the airport, and we got back to Fargo around 11 o'clock at night, and that was just one of the longest days I have ever done. Like I mentioned, I didn't go to sleep the night before, so I was extremely tired and exhausted, but I would do it over again in a heartbeat. I mean, just the cool historical things we got to see and the once-in-a-lifetime experience things that we got to do will just really never happen again for me. So, I mean, I was really satisfied with my experience. Like I mentioned, I haven't been to Washington, D.C. ever, even though I've been to a lot of the northeastern cities in America, but I'm definitely going to go back after now, seeing all the cool history things and whatnot that they have going on. And I think it was really, I don't want to speak for everyone, I think it was a really great experience, and I think most everybody on the team enjoyed it and got something out of it. And I think regardless of political views, I mean, people were really able to get something out of the day, like I said, and enjoy themselves and find at least one thing that they liked. And I think our team did a really good job of handling that. And so that basically sums up what this day entailed. I know it was pretty action-packed. I mean, I find it hard to believe that that many things happened in a mere 24 hours. I mean, less than 24 hours, even if you really look at it that way. And if you have any questions about what went on or what the experience was like, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This is a little bit different than the normal content I put on this channel, which is usually related to entertainment forms of media and kind of those industries, but I actually do plan on doing a couple more personal videos like this, and I know the most near one in the future is going to be about my experience as a Division I football player and also being a civil engineering student at the same time. That's kind of a unique experience, so I'm ready to talk about that, and it's going to be fun. I think you guys will enjoy that one as well. So I really do hope you guys can stick around for that, and I'm going to leave a link to my Twitter down in the description below so you can find out when I post a new video. And until then, this is Master Menard signing off.